The governor hosting a roundtable today talking about her recent pause on new large-scale data center projects for 1 year.
Center State CEO's Rob Simpson, a guest of ours the other day, was part of the governor's discussion today. But after this, Hochul joined NewsChannel Line's Andrew Donovan for an interview, one-on-one, about her new policy.
You're an alum of local government. We know local governments in central New York have taken this up themselves and put some similar moratoriums in place. How does your order perhaps help them figure this out? And what would it be like for a local government to have to figure out the pros and cons themselves?
I was in local government for 14 years. And we are dealing with the advent of cell towers. They're starting to show up. And, we had to hire lots of outside attorneys. We didn't have the sophistication to know exactly what we should be asking for and where they should go. And do we trust the companies to say this is all they're able to do? So I'm going to help localities and take the heavy lift off of them and say that I have state agencies that are dedicated, probably 5 or 6 right now, fully focused on getting this right, so they can sit back and know that when this is done, they will have the framework in their hands of what they should be asking for, what they should be deriving, no more tax breaks, and that they should be getting benefits, and make sure that nobody has to pay more for their utilities, which are already too high because of the presence of these hyperscale, enormous data centers.
There are some states that really want data centers. They're competing for these projects. We know you like to compete for big economic development projects too. Why are these different? Why pause this specific industry?
There's an enormous difference between the big economic development projects that I go after aggressively and deliver, like Micron, and those that'll take just a few years of construction jobs. Micron will be 20 years of construction jobs, but not just the construction jobs. What is the long-term job growth for a community based on whether you spend your energy and your money and resources on a Micron versus a data center which has very few employees? And that's the analysis we're using here. So if I want Micron to expand or have other supply chain companies in the semiconductor industry, or to help IBM have some more support for quantum computing, or up in the North Country, up in Saratoga County, companies that are already manufacturing semiconductor chips, they want to expand, like Global Foundries. I have to make sure that we have enough resources to support those, because they'll create good paying jobs for New Yorkers versus the data centers that don't. So we'll get the right formula, but given that I don't have unlimited power, I'm trying really hard to generate more nuclear. And when we have what we need and more than that, we can be more open to this. But in the meantime, the companies have to figure out the power needs themselves, how you're going to pay for it extra, or you're going to bring your own. That's the analysis I go through.
A few people have come up to me and asked, what's this moratorium mean for the Micron project? For some reason, people conflate the two as big tech, and I wonder how you'd answer that question.
No, well, we know we were just together in Micron the other day when they had a major announcement about the milestone, and they're speeding up the development of the 4 quads. Again, as we talk about transforming the upstate economy with this project, they're moving fast. This is not a data center. There'll be thousands of people working inside the building, creating the memory chips that are the foundation of the artificial intelligence revolution. So they're moving ahead. These data centers create the power. They can go in other states. We will welcome them in New York once we take a pause to get it right.
When you were at the Micron site, I know you and I had a moment together. You remarked on the difference in the weather from when you were there in January to July, but how about the difference in the site? It's just so transformed. The trees are gone. There's now mounds of fill and so many trucks.
It is astounding to see the change that has happened, and I give so much credit to the company for really keeping their promises, their commitments to create the jobs, the substantial benefits for the community with the community benefit agreement. And that's what I'm talking about for these massive, large-scale, hyperscale data centers. You need to be able to give back substantially to the communities. As like I said, Micron's been great. They've been an amazing partner. We support them with hydroelectric power for their energy needs, but I'd rather devote that power to a Micron creating jobs than these other large facilities that do not. That's the calculation, but we're so proud of Micron, and I know we're going to be building more housing, and and making sure that we have the schools ultimately that we're going to need, and the roads and the infrastructure. We're building the future one day at a time in Syracuse.
Real briefly, you mentioned your nuclear expansion. You know I like to ask you about Oswego County's chances. Any further movement on the decision?
I think it's very important that a place like Oswego has experience, the educated workforce dealing with this, and also a lot of land. So I'm not giving any answers today, but they're certainly in contention.
Governor Kathy Hochul, thanks so much for being generous with your time to the people of Syracuse, to us at News Channel 9. Be well.
Thank you. We'll see you at the fair.
See you then. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.